Test, test, test. How many books have I written? Wait. So what if I told you that in the past 2.5 years, I've drafted 3 books, nearly finished drafting a 4th, have started revising one of them, and am ready to throw that all to the wind so that I can start this brand new project. Hi, hello, my name is Taylor Alexander. I am an aspiring screenwriter, playwright, and novelist, and in this video we are going to be planning and world building a brand new project that I am so excited about. This project came out of nowheres, but for me, that's how the best things usually start. And as I've been writing my novels over the past couple years, the big thing that I have started to think about is that I want to have a project that really, truly, in its fullest capacity, feels like me. I've written books that are an outpouring of myself. I've written books that play more to the marketplace, but as I really start to think about what a debut novel could be, I want to write a book that is exciting, that encapsulates a lot of my interests, and that feels like a project that I would be proud to be defined by as my debut novel. Which is so weird. None of this might ever happen. It feels so strange to talk about the idea of a debut novel, even though I've done some querying before on a project that I don't talk about anymore that was before authortube. And what feels so strange is that now that I've written all these drafts and I've done all this work and I've learned so much about writing novels, now it's starting to feel real. Which is why I am so excited to get started on this brand new project that answers all those questions and worries about finding a novel that could potentially be the only novel I ever publish that feels like me and that feels like something that I am truly proud of. What I've decided so far and what I can share with you is that this is a young adult heist novel. That is why I am thrilled to be sharing with you the world building and beginning process of my young adult heist novel. This blends so many of my interests. If you know me, if you've watched some of the blogs, you know I am obsessed with White Collar. I love Six of Crows. I love a good heist. And even better than that, I have the perfect notebook because this one takes place in New York City, baby! This project combines subjects that thrill me, one of my favorite places in the world, New York City, and the young adult literature universe, which absolutely changed my life and made me the reader that I am today. So without further ado, welcome to Project Puppet Mastered. The first thing that I need to do when it comes to building out this world is capturing the vibes. I need the aesthetic, I need the scent of the air that these characters breathe to run through my veins. For me, aesthetic and vibes are such a major part of everything that I do. They instill me with so many ideas, and that's actually what this book came out of. Project Puppet Master came out of a very simple declaration. I want to write a book that sounds like Bourgeoisie's by Conan Gray. So what that means is that as I jot down these initial ideas and get the general gist of this world sorted out in my head, I need to start collecting images that capture the vibe that I'm going for and essentially what some of these characters are going to be. I need to start collecting images that capture the vibes of this world, the sense of action, the sense of the surroundings, and maybe possibly who some of these characters are going to be. Sometimes when I'm world building, if I see a picture of a person, I will say, wait, that's the character. I didn't even know that was the character, and yet it's them, perfectly encapsulated in that picture. The other thing that I need to do, because this entire thing is based on a song, is I need to make the playlist. Obviously, this will just be the starting seeds for a playlist that will grow throughout the entire writing process, but music is such a big part of everything that I do, whether I am writing a novel or a screenplay or a stage play. So much of what I do and how I think is based on music. I find it so inspiring because it goes beyond the words to really capture the aesthetic. Without further ado, let's get back to it. Let's start looking for images and let's build this playlist. I'm so excited. Quiet time. What gets you? Do you feel worse enough? If you wanna quiet time. What gets you? Do you feel worse enough? If you wanna
you ask me why, I don't know why. I don't know why.
I have no words. I am so excited about this project. I have been working at getting these images here. I have a much better grasp on the vibes. I only have 2 songs on the playlist, which is okay at the moment. I do want to find more, but these photos have me so excited, and I made the first project mood board. So let me know what you think of that, and if you like the vibes. Are you excited for this project? I am so excited about Project Puppet Mastered. There's still a couple things that I'm toying around with, so I want to do some more brainstorming in my notebook here, because there's a couple things that would change the entire trajectory of the book, like whether or not there's magic in it or if it's just straight up heist. That's a big decision to make, and it will entirely change the trajectory of the book. Nevertheless, I am so excited about this project, and I know I keep saying it, but truly this world building has me hyped. It has me so hyped, and I've been waiting to do this so that I could really dive into the world building. And we have images and we have a mood board. Now I'm gonna get back to my trusty notebook and do some more general brainstorming. Okay, I think that's in focus. I don't know, it's so bright. Maybe I should bring the exposure down. That should be better. Good morning, vlog. It's been a few days. I think today might be day 4 of planning, day 3, something along those lines. But do not worry, I have been planning, and I'm so excited to catch you up on how Project Puppet Mastered is coming along. I first started by finishing up some really important notes about plotting. I have some ideas for scenes already that I'm really excited about. And then I moved on to one of my favorite parts of the entire planning process, which is character building. This project has 4 main characters, and I'm starting to flesh each of them out. I'm doing really intentional planning in a notebook rather than doing a bunch of sheets online. I was considering trying Milanote or Scrivener, but right now I want to do some paper planning. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking the bits and pieces of planning that I've done on different documents across different projects and combining those to make the sheets that work best for me. Obviously that includes name. I like to do a Myers-Briggs or some sort of Enneagram personality type. I like to do a skill set, and the thing that I'm doing now, because I know wants and needs are obviously so crucial to this process, is I am taking what the character wants and I am putting it in the context of the internal need that is stopping them from getting what they really want. With that in mind, I'm then moving on to how they will grow throughout the book, and then I will be branching out into their relationships with the other characters, how these wants and needs and changes over time impact those relationships and are impacted by those relationships. Also, one of my favorite parts of this part of the process is choosing names. I am a self-proclaimed proud name nerd. I love researching names, the meanings behind them, different origins, and all of that stuff. It gets me so excited. I love choosing names. So I've only chosen one of 4 because I really want to do some specific research on this before I make these choices. And so far I'm liking the names, I'm liking the vibes. The name, I only have 1. So the plan from here on out is to finish up these character sheets. I mostly have to do the relationships and the names. I have most of their key personality traits and their skill sets. And so now it comes down to the name game and relationships, and then we can dive even further into planning the acts of this project. I think it's time for an update because things are moving really fast. The last time I checked in, I was picking out character names. It's been about a week, and I have all 4 main character names. I have their character profiles mostly figured out. I want to flesh out their relationships a little more to make sure I have the dynamics nailed down. I have been building out my mood board more. I got Scrivener. I got Scrivener. I'm professional now. I got Scrivener. I set up a Scrivener project. I've been collecting some articles for research, jotting down some names of books that I want to get, and I decided to start my major plotting. I've been doing some brainstorming to get the general gist of how I want this entire thing to work, because it's a pretty big concept at the moment, and so I need to kind of pin it down and get the specifics figured out. And for the first time, in order to do that, I am trying the Save the Cat novel version. In the past, I've done some Act 1, Act 2 planning, but I'm mostly familiar with story circles, which is ironic because I studied film and we didn't really do Save the Cat. But Save the Cat started as a screenwriting template, basically, that follows the major points of every single big film. And someone was kind enough to adapt it into a novel plotting method. So I've started using Save the Cat to get the plot for Puppet Mastered figured out. I have my opening image figured out, and even though I am still very early in the plotting phase, I started writing most of the first chapter. I am about 700 words into the first chapter right now. I am loving this. It's helping me figure out the character dynamic. I have a very clear image in my head, and things are going surprisingly well. I do have to say though, this is some of my old habits kicking in. I started as a total pantser, and I've been slowly learning how to plot and realizing how helpful it is, especially when I worked on a historical fiction novel. But I can't help myself. Even though I have a lot of work to do, I needed to start getting this first chapter on to the page. So now we have some of our Save the Cat plotting figured out. I have characters figured out. I have a general idea of how this story is going to go, and we have part of our first chapter written, but there's still more planning work to do, so we better rewind and figure out the rest of this plot. Okay, so here's the Scrivener in composition mode. I am so in love with how this looks, and I'm so excited to write, because I've got all the images from the mood board on the sides, and oh, I love it so much. The playlist is growing as well. Here's some of the vibes. Even just showing you this stuff in this update makes me so excited and makes me just want to write more in this project. Okay, I am hoping and praying that this is a decent camera setup. Okay. It is Wednesday, April 22nd. It has been at least a week, probably more, honestly, since I updated this vlog, since I picked up this camera and spoke to you, but here I am now. It was only a few seconds for you, so nothing to fret. Where do I begin? I finished fleshing out mostly, I think, the character sheets. There's a couple prompts on Scrivener that I might review, but I have most of it in my notebook that I looked to just grab to reference to, and I realized it's under my camera. The notebook that I'm using to plan this story is currently acting as my tripod. Cool. Anyways, I have been continuing with research, and the more that I research, the more that I actually get to know the intricacies of what this story really is. The research has been so helpful because it inspires new ideas while also helping me to refine my vision and realize what it is that I actually want from this broader concept. I'm also just such a nerd, and I love doing research in general. I am so excited to hit the stacks at the library and go through some really random books and see what I can uncover. I have been looking a ton at tropes online as well for the genre that I'm delving into, because I'm gonna be writing a genre that I really enjoy reading and watching, but I still need to know more about the actual intricacies of the craft itself, which is why I've been looking at some tropes, because as much as I want to break out of the mold and create an original story and an original world, I need to provide some familiarity for my readers. So that has been a huge part of the process, is just going through tropes, going through real world examples that align with those tropes, and finding the through line that I want and what makes sense for these characters, and matching things up so that I can use the basics and the foundations as exactly that. Use them as the bottom rungs of the ladder to build up these characters, to build out their complexities and who they are and how they interact with the world around them. I finished drafting my opening image, which feels weird to say, and which I don't necessarily want to do, but I can't help myself from starting to write, I'm getting some lines in the way that these characters are interacting brewing in my head, and I cannot help myself. I needed to write the opening image. It's, I think, about 1,800 words long, something like that. And now I am really able to springboard into the heart of this book by exploring one of the scenes that's going to show who these characters are and what their stasis is. As much as I am trying to become a planner, I cannot help but pants a little bit. Once I get something stuck in my head, I have to explore it. So even though I know that opening image is going to evolve and change over the process of this book, I had to write it out. Another very exciting thing is that I set the timeline for writing the first draft of this book. I know people call them zero drafts, and I know that's technically what it is, but I do use just the terminology of first draft a lot because it is the first draft for me. So even if it's zero, it's still number one in my head. Anyways, I set the timeline. I decided that for the rest of this month, I'm going to be doing research, and for May, I will also be doing research to really nail down a lot of the planning because I still don't have a good portion of my outline. I've been using Save the Cat, as I mentioned, and I think got about a third of it, and there's definitely a lot of details that I need to figure out, even in this second chapter that I was discussing with this very important defining scene. There's a lot of research that needs to be done because it's very specific, and I want to make sure that I'm accurate when I'm writing and actually executing these visions. That being said, I am trying to keep myself to research this month and trying to get myself to mostly researching for the month of May because ultimately this will take a couple months to fully finish planning. This process has been fairly different from a lot of my other books. It's more of a refined process of research than I'm diving in and writing and researching as I'm doing it. It's hard to fight the urge to not do that much writing while I'm researching, but that is my plan, and that is why ultimately you probably won't see the entire start to finish planning process in this video because it's going to continue on. And I know that I will even continue to probably refine the finer points of a lot of the plotting and a lot of the scenes as I am writing this book because I really need to puzzle some things out, which is super exciting and super terrifying because I go a lot on human instinct and what my characters are doing, and I rely a lot on their emotions, but this book requires some technicalities. It definitely does. It requires me to be a bit of a logistician, get into some logic and how things work and be a bit of a puzzler, and I think that's so fun and so exciting. It's something that I admire about authors like Dan Brown and Jennifer Lynn Barnes and people who really take time to figure out the intricacies of puzzles in their stories that sound super smart and make me feel super dumb. I love being surprised by a book. So I definitely want to do that with this one for myself and for my readers and challenge the capacity of what's going on in the plot. So that's where I'm at with plotting, planning, and world building at the moment. And the next step is figuring out the intricacies of the second scene because it's going to tell me a lot about this world, these characters, and how they function, and it's going to make a big difference once I get to the bigger part of the book. Essentially, by planning one scene right now, I'm going to be able to figure out a lot of the schematics of what's going to go on in the bigger plot of the book. So doing a little bit of writing now might actually unlock some of these things that I need to figure out with my Save the Cat plotting sheet. And that brings us to today. It is now July 20th, and as you can see, planning is not some cut and dry linear process. I currently have 15,000 words in my Scrivener document. I'm on chapter 7 of Project Puppet Mastered, and I am well behind my schedule. I may have wanted to have 45,000 words by the end of July, and we're already halfway through the month and I'm at 15. But at the end of the day, it is about quality. I am still doing, as predicted, a lot of research on this book. There's a lot of planning going on, even more than research. There's research that I have to do that I have been slacking on because I have been writing and then trying to figure out a lot of the dynamics between these characters. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about this process is that I'm constantly discovering new revelations and new situations that reveal more things about these characters, how they interact, why they need one another, why they sometimes get into fights and have friction between them, and how they fit into the larger world around them, and more than that, the ways that they don't and how that impacts their stories so deeply. Long story short, I love this project and this planning process, even if I'm still, figuring things out, has been so helpful because a lot of the things that I am figuring out would not have happened without any of this planning that we've done here together. The mood board is still growing, I would say almost every day. Every time I open Pinterest, there's some image that sparks my curiosity that has to do with this project. I think about these characters constantly. Every time I hear a song that makes me think of them, that really gets me into the mood, I run to my Spotify. Always keep your playlist on your phone somewhere so you can access it quickly, or keep a notepad on you or something to jot down songs, because once you get the vibes, it will hit you. You will hear a song on the radio or in a store or coffee shop and go, that's my characters. That's what I've been doing. The playlist is now 44 songs and almost 3 hours long, and my Pinterest board has 293 pictures on it. But it's all so helpful, and I cannot gush enough about this story. So if you are in the process of planning your own story, especially if this is your first time going through all of these hectic, crazy parts and trying to make them into something that just feels so big and sometimes unreachable, I want you to know that you can do this. You can put your mind to it and create this story. It is important for a reason. I want you to think of that reason right now and hold that with you throughout the writing process. Let it stick with you and remember your why. Build your mood board, build your playlist, get a schedule going, get to know your characters until you feel like you've had 25 lunches with them, and you can do this. I so hope that if you are planning or trying to figure out how to become a plotter or just interested in storytelling, that sharing my experiences has helped you throughout your own processes. And either way, I really hope that you enjoyed the writing blog. If you want to see more writing blogs, if you want to know what's gonna happen with Project Puppet Mastered or any other of my stories, like my historical fiction Project Cartomancy or the YA Rivals to Lovers novel that never got a fancy project title but is somewhere stuck in developmental revisions, please hit that subscribe button for more. I would love to have you hanging out on the channel here. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and a comment if there's something that you want to see or you want to share your experiences with me. I will yap about writing, always. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you in another one. Bye for now!